You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Boom, 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 Mr. Grinch. It's a shame I don't even know the words to the song. It's awful. Here we are, not knowing the words. Welcome back to another day of Vlogmas. We're on day 4. That means we only have 6. No. Whoa. We only have 21 more days. We're 4 days in and I'm already losing my mind. I don't know what that really says about me, but yeah, I was about to say we're 21 days in. Oh my God. I can't get it together. I'm gonna get it together. Anyway, welcome to another day of Vlogmas. Here we are. It's great to be back. I'm feeling great. I hope you're feeling great about day number 4. And today's theme is the Grinch. I chose the Grinch because he's an awful character and he's not the nicest. He's not a human. I don't know what the Grinch really is. I don't know what he is, but he's not the nicest character in the beginning. And I was thinking about just a couple of different things, and I was like, how about I talk a little bit about books I love to hate, since the Grinch is a character we love to hate. We may grow to love him, but in the beginning we love to hate him. So I feel like I have to put kind of like a warning on this, like warning, like flashing sign on this, which is so crazy. I hate having to do these kind of like asterisks to my own videos because people are gonna be like, oh, you shouldn't say that you hate books. Whatever, okay? This is done in fun. These are books that I literally just do not like. I do not like them. These are books that I often talk about quite a bit, so you should not be surprised when you see some of these pop up. I've talked about these this year. I've talked about some of these last year. These are just books that I just don't enjoy, and I constantly talk about how much I don't enjoy them. If you see books on here that you have enjoyed, it does not speak to you as a person. This is not a character judgment on you. I promise this has nothing to do with you as a human. It's not about you. It's about me and not liking these books because they weren't written for me. I was not the person that these books were written for, and that is okay. But we're gonna go ahead and jump in. So the first book that I have on my list is Life After Death, and we know how I feel about Life After Death. This is supposed to be the follow-up to The Coldest Winter Ever, and it was hot garbage. Like, I hated this book so much. I don't really do a lot of rant reviews on my channel, but I did a rant review for this one and titled it "This Should Have Stayed in the Drafts." I think that it's clear as day that there was a certain goal in mind with this story and a certain message that was trying to be pushed out, and it was so grossly offensive to everybody. The author like hit multiple parties on this one, okay? I just did not feel like it was a good follow-up. It did not make any sense. It was about the main character, Winter, from the first book descending into hell, and there was like bestiality in the book. There was very offensive commentary on people, and I just feel like she was trying to push a certain narrative and message like religiously, and that she used the context of a story that a lot of Black people really just grew up on and are very familiar with, and used that popularity to be able to write this book to push a certain narrative, and that was super offensive. I didn't like it. I don't know too many people who ended up liking, Life After Death. I had some people who tried to explain to me on that video. They tried to explain to me why Life After Death was such a good book. And, typically I'm willing to engage with people on a lot of discussions that I have, but I was so closed-eared on that one. There was no way that you could justify any part of that book to me at all in any way, shape, or form, because it just was so grossly offensive to a lot of individuals, including myself, that I was like, there's no way in hell that you can explain this away. Like, there's no explaining. It's written on page right there, memorialized for everyone to see forever. And yeah, I was like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. I don't know if I'll ever pick up another Sister Soldier book, but oh man, I'd love to talk about that one because it's just great. So the next one that I have on this list is actually a comic book, and it is Future State Suicide Squad, because yes, Future State Suicide Squad was not a good book at all, believe it or not. I did not like it. It takes place on Earth 3, and it just wasn't a story that was not really handled well in terms of the writing of the story. The artwork was really good, but I think that Robbie Thompson was confused on where he wanted to take the story. So I was very disappointed because I'm typically interested in Suicide Squad, but it just felt like a cash grab a little bit because I felt like DC was doing everything with Future State, so they technically were doing something with all of the characters. This just didn't pan out well. It was not good at all. The next one that I have on my list is Missions of Love, which is a manga that I just recently read this year. It is going to be on my worst books of 2021, and I was super excited about Missions of Love because Missions of Love focused on a young girl who wrote these kind of like cell phone stories, and they were supposed to be really quick reads and really interesting, and a lot of people who were attending the same school as her really did find them really engaging, but they noticed that none of the books had romance. So in order to be able to write romance, because she's never been in love, she wanted to enlist the help of a classmate to help her learn more about romance. It was going so well until another character who is prominent throughout the entire, first 2 volumes and clearly is going to be in future volumes, until that individual ends up kind of like saying on the low that they have feelings for the main character, and that's their cousin. So, that's incest. Everybody knows that's where I draw my line when it comes to romance. I think that when I'm thinking about historically, like, people did marry their cousins, like Queen Victoria married her first cousin type of thing, because I don't think they just knew, but still, yuck, ill. But this is not a historical setting, and I still probably would have felt icky about it in a historical setting, but literally a modern tale, and we have someone falling in love with their cousin, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, really? There's no need for anybody to be in love with their cousin in a book that's modern, that's about learning to write stories based on romance. So that was a huge disappointment. And I know I said I had 7, but I only have 6. So that's okay. I only have 6 of these, which is fine. The next one that I have on this list is Junie B. Jones. And this is funny because people are gonna be like, didn't you just make a video about rating children's lit too harsh as an adult? Absolutely, you're absolutely right, and I get it. I don't like Junie B. Jones. I don't like that little girl whatsoever. I don't. She is the most crass and evil little human on the planet. She's so rude. She's mean. She's awful. She's so awful, and I hate to say it like that, but she's an awful human, and she's mean to everyone. She calls her classmates stupid. I think she called her brother a monkey. I was like, what is going on? I know a lot of parents who won't allow their kids to read Junie B. Jones because she just teaches them not so great things, but I do understand from like a developmental aspect, because Junie B. Jones is young. I think she's only in kindergarten when the series starts, and she is learning how to be nicer, and she is, she's not the easiest child. So I get what I think the author was attempting to do there, that it does really stick to the truth of how kids can act. But my God, she's like one of those little kids where you're like, wow, like, whoa, like, this is rough. This is so rough. I read the first 4 books a couple of years ago, and I was like, my child will never. Probably, if my child ever came to me and said, Mom, can I please read Junie B. Jones? I will not stop her. You know how I feel about censoring. I won't stop her, but we will have to have conversations about those books together, because those are not behavioral traits that I would want my child to pick up. And Junie B. Jones is always, Junie B. Jones is a B. Like, she is just awful. And I know I talked about this last year in one of my videos. I think it was like the worst books that I've ever read, and you know, it's so hard because like I would say, I hold children's lit very dear to my heart and very protective of it, especially from, you know, adult gaze. But my God, like, Junie B. Jones has got to be the exception to every rule that I feel about children's lit. She's got to be the exception to the rule, because that child is awful. She's awful. She's an awful human being. The next one that I have on this list is one that I always talk about. That's why I said these are books that I love to hate, because these are a lot of books that I often talk about. I do talk about these books a lot. Hater is part of the hashtag series, and I stopped reading the hashtag series because of this book. So I talked about this one last year too. Hater is an issue because the author did not do their freaking research, and it drives me crazy when people write sports romances and don't know what they're talking about because they didn't research the freaking sport. If you know, you can have an appreciation for a sport or want to write a sports romance, but let's be honest, if you don't know the tricks and trades of how that sport goes, you're going to need to do some research, and our author in this one did not do their research. There were so many discrepancies about like the recruitment process for football, defense and offensive positions in football. I think there was like a running back was put on defensive side, and then there was one part in which, like, the way it was written, it was like both teams' defenses would have been on the field at the same time, which didn't make sense. It just was small things, and I'm not like a super avid football watcher. Like, I'm not the person that's like, oh yeah, it's football Sunday or Monday Night Football. Like, that's not me, but I know enough to where, like, I know the positions, I know the calls, I know enough. I went to a school in the South that's football heavy, okay? So I had to know. I grew up around football. Unfortunately, this book was a clear indication of someone that did not do the sufficient amount of research that they needed to do in order to be able to write a narrative that focused on football. And it just was cringy. It was so cringy. If you don't know anything about football, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It wouldn't make a difference to you in the world. It would not impact your enjoyment of the book. But if you know something about football, you know something about positions, literally I was like, no, this can't be right. This can't be right. And apparently it was choices were made with that one. We made choices. And the last one that I have on this list is probably gonna hurt some people's feelings, and I apologize. I'm so sorry. It's not about you. This is not about you. It's about me and my issues. And, you know, as long as you feel like this is issues that Ashley has, you will be a-okay. Children of Virtue and Vengeance was hot fire fuck garbage. Don't care what anybody says. Book was trash. Like, shoot me for saying it, but that book was horrible. I read Children of Blood and Bone and really enjoyed it. And then a lot of people say that it's just basically Avatar with black characters. Whatever. Guilty pleasure. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm not ashamed to say I like Children of Blood and Bone. It is what it is. However, I was pissed. Let me explain why I was pissed. I made sure that I went and bought that book on release day. I held off on reading it because of the fact that I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold off on reading this book because I want to reread the first book. I want to vlog it. I want to make it this whole thing on my channel. And I started hearing like little tidbits. I made sure I was like, I'm not going to go on Goodreads, not going to go on Goodreads, not going to go on Goodreads. And I started hearing little tidbits, little flutters in the wind that the book wasn't as good. I said, flutters, move to the side, move to the side, move to the side. I'm going to enjoy this book. I did a whole reading vlog, which I'll link in the cards on below. Reread Children of Blood and Bone, got to Children of Virtue and Vengeance, and said, who the hell wrote this book? Because it wasn't told me. Who wrote this book? Because I don't like when authors manipulate their characters to do things to push a plot forward. And in the context of this story, that's what we got. Someone who was using their characters to push forward a certain narrative. And it was super unfortunate because I felt like it was character abuse going on by doing that. I think characters were doing things that they never did before. I think characters were making moves that just were not indicative of who they were in the previous book. It felt like a whole new set of characters, and to me that's kind of a problem when you're trying to write a consistent story. I personally don't think that the third book is ever going to happen because the second book got pushed back 3 times before it actually was released, and I just don't think that that's going to be a thing that's going to happen. To be honest with you, I don't see it happening at all. That book came out in 2019. It's the end of 2021. We don't have a title or a cover for the third book because I don't think there will be one, and that's just my humble opinion about it. I it's such a disappointment to me that that book was as bad as it was. And yeah, you can get all the full details in that vlog. Yeah, learn all about it. All right, y'all, so that is it. Those are 6 books that I love to hate. So those are 6 books that I just often talk about, and when I talk about like books that I don't like or books that are disappointing. Remember, like I said, it's nothing to do with you, it's everything to do with me. Like, don't take it personally. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content, click the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. All of my links to support my channel will be down in the description box below, as well as ways to follow me on social media, and I'll be back with another video tomorrow. All right, y'all.